Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner, is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-driven radio. At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Rippin' Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Hello. Hello. This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Ash.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to DarkWolf's Den.
The DarkWolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Are ghosts real?
We had 1,000 hours of continuous communication with the spirit world.
Does time travel actually exist?
The laws of physics seem to be compatible with time machines.
You know, sometimes I wonder about reincarnation. Don't you?
A 4-year-old boy in Adelaide, Australia, has told his parents that he used to be Britain's Princess Diana.
What would happen if the world found out that aliens were real?
I didn't say disclosure would be easy, but what is the alternative?
To establish a space force as the 6th branch of the armed forces.
We have so many questions and yet so little time, so to have you here, the pleasure is all mine.
Coming to you from a secret mountain cave, hidden deep within the Idaho wilderness. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live worldwide from a secret mountain cave hidden high up in the beautifully snow-covered peaks of the Idaho mountains. That's right. We're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, tearing through the atmosphere, and tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the DarkWolf's Den Show for Thursday, April 8th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, last night we talked about psychic pets and learned a lot about the ability of animals to be psychic. But could that cross over and allow humans to communicate with animals psychically? We know both creatures have psychic abilities. Can we psychically communicate with our pets? Well, perhaps by the end of the show, we will have learned enough to do just that. We're going to discuss all that and more here in just a moment, but first, today in history. Real quick shout out to our network partner AJ the Rippin' Rabbit over there. This one's for you, brother. On this day in 1983, in front of a live audience of 20 tourists, David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear. That's right. Luckily, he brought it back. Thank goodness. I think he probably would have got sued if he couldn't bring it from the other dimension, right? But seriously, ladies and gentlemen, he made the Statue of Liberty disappear on this day in 1983. And that is Today in History. And of course, David Copperfield being an amazing magician and illusionist. Also, speaking of amazing people, I've got to give another real quick shout out, ladies and gentlemen, for these topics this week. I mentioned last night that both of these topics are viewer-suggested topics, and the way they came about was actually really interesting. I was at my regular job, and I was telling somebody about the radio show here, and they said something to the effect of, why don't you do a show about how pets can, know when their owners are coming home, or have psychic abilities, can know when people are going to die, things like that. And I thought, wow, that's a great topic, so I added it to the list. Well, a couple nights ago, I was in the backstage lounge, and everybody knows our friend Earth Daughter over there in the chat. She come in and she said, hey, if you're looking for a topic, why don't you do pet psychics? And I was like, wow, that is awesome. I can put both of these topics together for this weekend. So shout out to both Earth Daughter and to that customer that suggested this topic. If you're listening, Lord help me, I apologize. I could not remember your name to save my life. But we do appreciate the topic suggestions just the same. And last night, of course, we talked about psychic pets that could, like I just mentioned, know when their owner is coming home, or can detect death hours before it occurs, or just really amazing things about animals. Parrots being the most telepathic of them all. And that brings us to today's topic. So, parrots are telepathic, as we learned last night. They can receive signals from the human mind, but can it go both ways? Can animals talk to us? Well, there's one lady named Sonia Fitzpatrick who believes that that's very possible. As a matter of fact, she talks to animals all the time.
The question that I get asked by people the most is, how do you talk to animals? Well, very easily. Animals communicate in pictures, feelings, and emotions.
Again, I was in the backstage lounge last night, and we were discussing the topic of pet psychics and psychic pets, and I remembered bringing this up. I had heard this before about how animals think and speak in feelings and pictures, and it reminds me of the UFO lore, because a lot of alien abductions, they say that the aliens speak to them telepathically, and they don't speak in sentences, more so in concepts, in pictures, ideas, and feelings.
And they receive every picture and every feeling that is coming from you.
And of course, we've discussed on the show many, many times how we put off a frequency all the time. Any living creature puts off an electrochemical frequency that emanates from the body into the environment at all times. The question is, what information is carried in this field, in this frequency emanating from all creatures?
And there is no way that we can't communicate with them, because we're communicating with them constantly.
We can't help but to communicate with them. We are communicating with them constantly. And that's the interesting thing, right? Because we're not all good at controlling our thoughts. I know I'm not the best at it at all. But our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are also literally being put into the environment at all times. Now, they might not be as blatant to some as to others, but to animals, I think they're pretty blatant indeed. So whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not, at all times you are projecting your thoughts, feelings, and emotions into the environment for other animals and creatures to pick up, from humans down to dogs, cats, and whatever other creature.
Every time we have a conversation, they hear it, they see it, and they feel it. No matter where you are, your animal can receive the pictures and feelings from you.
Which backs up what we were discussing last night from Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, when he mentioned that cats, no matter how far away, knew that their owners had made a appointment to the vet in order to take them in. Now, the cat would not have seen this, would not have been around. The person would have done this from work, and yet the cat still knew. We are still projecting that information regardless of distance between the two people, or the cat and the person in this case.
You can be in the same room, or you can be 100 miles away, because we're transmitting out like radios, and they are also. And when I talk to animals, I pick up that signal wherever they are. I literally am tuning in and finding that signal, and once I get that signal, I start to receive from the animal.
And if this sounds crazy to you, I want you to consider the idea of brainwave entrainment. And this is something that we see in the modern world more so than we realize. Think about a group of roommates that live together that all seem to be, quote, on the same frequency, end quote, or on the same wavelength, end quote, right? Or the idea that women that live together in the same house will tend to synchronize certain things about their life. Things like that. Things that nature automatically will synchronize. They are entrained with each other. They're on the same wavelength, if you will. So being around people creates this quantum entanglement, if you will, this wavelength brainwave entrainment that allows the two brains, or the two consciousnesses, to be connected regardless of space and distance. And again, you can consider this from humans all the way down to humans and pets, right? Because we know that mothers and daughters have this special bond. We know that roommates and really good friends end up having a very close emotional special bond. And we also know that women living in a house, women tend to bond with each other anyway pretty easily. Women tend to also synchronize certain things about the nature of their bodies regardless of their own will, because they are on the same wavelength with the other women in the house. Now let's take this to another level and consider all the time that you spend around your pet in the same house on any given day, right? You are constantly around your pet. You're entraining your wavelengths together to where you're much more connected. Also, the fact that you're emotionally connected. Most everybody's very emotionally connected to their pet. They love their cat. They love their dog. They love spending time with them. There's this very special connection between the pet and the owner, right? This very deep, loving bond. And I think that's what a lot of it comes down to, is a bonding by whatever that actually means. And I think that's more than a physical thing. I think that goes into the spiritual realm, because it's in this bonding that we find this amazing ability to talk to creatures and animals. Now, I'm speaking in general. Of course, Miss Sonia Fitzpatrick does it just every day to any animal. She doesn't necessarily have to be bonded with them. She has a special gift that a lot of us don't have, but considering from a regular pet owner's standpoint, this would make a lot of sense why you would become, quote, quantumly entangled, end quote, with your pet.
And that's done through the magnetic fields in the universe. And this is how animals speak to each other. So all of us are actually talking to animals, and our language is reaching them.
I think that's a little bit too authoritatively spoken. I don't know if it's the magnetic field. I would dare again argue that it's the electrochemical field that we all give off, and even into a quantum mechanical or quantum entanglement level. I don't know about it being the magnetic field. I could be wrong, but that is my conjecture.
So how does it reach them, and how do they talk? We're talking verbally, and they understand our commands. They understand if we're sad, if we're happy, and we understand if they are too, because that shows on their body language. But there's so much more going on than that.
And of course, body language will give you a lot of information, but this is beyond the body language. This is to the next level. Discounting body language is being a part of this phenomenon.
The pictures we form in our minds. For instance, if I was to ask you where the Statue of Liberty is, you have an image in your mind of that. So you sort of see it with your imagination. Now that picture, whatever you're thinking about, you're forming pictures with your mind.
And that same picture that you just formed in your mind, you are literally radiating out into the environment as you think about it. And it's not just that thought, it's any thought that you have, any picture in your mind, any feeling, any idea, any thought you have, you are literally radiating into the environment, whether you like it or not.
But as children, we're often told that our imagination is not real. Well, it is, because we constantly use our imagination. We're using our imagination for projects, or if we're going on vacation, we're imagining what it's going to be like. So our imagination plays a big part in talking to our animals and everything else that we do.
And of course, imagination plays an extremely huge role, we know, in manifestation, as well as other esoteric ideas. Imagination is actually one of the keys, in my opinion, to moving forward in reality, because if you're going to theorize, if you're going to come up with something, if you're going to invent something, you first have to imagine it, right?
So the picture, if you're going on vacation, you're thinking about it, and you're visualizing pictures, they're going out. You're also feeling happy. So the animal will receive that picture and that feeling from you.
And the animal will automatically know you're happy about this place or happy about going to this place.
So the animal immediately knows that you're going somewhere. Often it's not sure if it's going with you, but their picture comes straight to the animal from wherever you are, whether you're at your office, whether you're in the same room with your animal, they receive that picture from you because their radio signal is tuned into your radio signal, and it's going backwards and forwards.
So to put that another way, it is both a transmitter and a receiver. When we talked about the consciousness episodes, we discussed the fact that the brain could be both a transmitter and a receiver. Well, it's not only the human brain, it appears that all animals have this ability, and we can speak telepathically to our animals. Once again, you're at work, you're thinking, oh, what do I got to do tonight? Oh, the cat. Oh, I've got to take the cat to the vet. Oh, I need to go ahead and make an appointment. And you think about the vet and the vet's office and who the vet is, and all of a sudden your cat also knows at home what you're thinking about and that it's about to go to the vet. And it runs and hides and disappears until it knows the coast is clear, right? And this is something that has actually happened a number of times to a number of cat owners, the way I understand it. And this is just one example, but it's the idea that no matter how far between you, the animal knows what you're thinking. She called it a radio tuning, and Dr. Michio Kaku uses this example a lot. But I would say it's more like a quantum entanglement. The information literally being passed between the two people or the two entities. Normally it's two particles, but we're talking a macro scale, so two people, or a human and a cat in this case. No matter the distance, you're at work at your office, say 50 miles away, and your cat's 50 miles away at home, and it knows instantly. That is quantum entanglement if I have ever heard it, on a macro scale. And if you think, once again, this is strange, think about the twin effect that we suggested, and you've heard about quite a bit, how twins have this weird quantum entanglement connection, where apparently you don't just have to be twins. Apparently anybody can have this quantum entanglement connection, this entrainment with each other, to be on the same frequency, or as she said, the radio station, to transmit and receive information between each other. It goes back to the question, what information is being given off in the fields that are being projected from us? Not just particles or magnetism or electrochemical magnetism, whatever the case may be, but actual information. What information is contained in these fields?
Humans communicate verbally. Animals communicate in pictures, feelings, emotions, senses. And our animals learn our language too. Now, because animals speak through their feelings and emotions are very deep, and they feel things on a deep level. People often don't understand how intelligent they are and how they feel everything we're feeling. And when they feel something, they can feel it much deeper than many humans. It doesn't matter what we're doing, the animals understand our conversations each time we speak to our children or our spouses. And the longer they live with us, dogs and cats learn our language. And birds, particularly parrots, and anything from in the bird family that lives much longer than the domestic dog or cat, gets to be very bright and understands and learns the language very, very quickly, and is very smart because it lives longer to learn so many more things about our lives.
And once again, this backs up Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's research on the idea that the parrots are the most smart or most telepathic of all the creatures. And like she said, they even get to know our language very, very well. And there's actually a bit more scientific data to back up the idea that dogs really, really do understand every conversation around them and react to the conversations that don't even involve them directly. Check this out.
One more study published in Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews states that dogs clearly read the communication between their owners and strangers. In the experiment, researchers at Kyoto University had dog owners ask two groups of strangers for a little help. One was supposed to agree, while the other was told to rudely decline. Afterwards, the strangers tried to give the pups a treat, and the doggos surprised us yet again. They wouldn't take a treat from the people who'd been mean or disrespectful towards their owners. In fact, besides distrusting them, they flat out ignored these meanies.
So just from watching the interactions between the two humans, the dog decided what the good human and the bad human was and flat out ignored the ones that it considered bad or mean humans.
They preferred to be fed by those who'd helped and actually showed kindness towards these people as if they were reciprocating the gesture.
it's almost like the dog understood the concept of good and bad in reference to, well, if he's bad to the owner, he's probably going to trick me or be bad to me, or this is probably not going to be good for me either because he's a bad person, because he was mean to the owner. Opposed to if he was nice to the owner, then he's probably going to be a nice person, it's probably going to be a good treat, for instance. The dog is smart enough to put together these concepts that we today can't even begin to fathom the idea that animals would understand, but they can understand a lot more than we give them credit for. But it's just the idea, once again, that they pay a lot more attention than we realize, and can read between body language, emotions, feelings, and can watch the outside world and make their own decisions based on interactions between two other people that didn't directly involve them at all. And of course, the owner's thoughts and feelings. We've always heard if the owner doesn't trust someone, the dog will be quite leery of them, right? Or the cat, or whatever the case may be. Or if the owner is nervous or is agitated, the animal will show these same emotions. They have a deeper feeling of these emotions, but yet they can still sense them off of us. And I won't take just body language for an answer. Yes, we give a lot away in body language, but I refuse to accept body language as the answer to this question. I think there's a lot more going on than just that.
Thus, the canines showed a good understanding of social etiquette. These experiments prove that dogs can feel how others interact with their owners and draw their own conclusions on how to treat those people.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say, actually. But I think animals can really detect a good person much more than that, without, knowing them. I think they have the psychic ability to read a good person and the energies of a person. Check this out. I went walking with a friend of mine on some trails here locally, and they have an upper trail and a lower trail, and it's literally a hill between them. And we're on the upper trail and we're walking, and every time we would pass a dog and a dog owner, if it was off leash, of course, the dog would make it a point to come up and greet me on the upper trail and then go back down. Every single dog I see makes a point to greet me. And I work in a facility that allows pets, a public facility that allows pets within it. And let me tell you, every dog or every animal that comes up just automatically has to greet me and just loves me to death and wants to be around me. As a matter of fact, I mentioned last night I got adopted by a cat recently. And why do I think these things happen? I think because these animals automatically can sense the good intent, the happiness that I seem to exude. I've been told more than once by more than one person. Just this feeling that animals get that they can trust you or they don't, and they make this decision instantly, the snap decision. And I think it's based a lot on the feelings and the pictures and the ideas and the thoughts that these animals get the moment they meet you. And you walk by a Rottweiler, right? And it's a big, scary-looking dog, and in your head you're freaking out. Oh my God, that dog could attack me! And you're getting scared and you're getting anxious, and the dog is reacting even meaner and even more so to your fear. And it's not that they can smell it. A lot of the times scientists thought they could smell the fear. That's not the case at all. And it turns out that animals have this amazing ability to psychically read us, from our thoughts to our feelings to our emotions to everything going on within us, whether we're anxious, happy, sad, whatever the case may be. Animals have this amazing ability to have this information almost instantly. And I think it's reading the electrochemical field that is coming off of all animals. I think this is how a lot of animals in nature communicate with each other, especially cross-species communication. For instance, a deer communicating with a groundhog, communicating with a crow or something. A friend of mine has a cat that actually has a meeting every morning with a bird and a squirrel. Every single morning they meet outside around a tree and have what appears to be a conversation. and they actually have a verbal appearing conversation, but you see a lot of times animals seem to communicate on a level that we just don't understand. And again, I think it's reading this information being given off in this electrochemical field, this ability to read the images and emotions of whatever the creature may be and understand more so probably than even us humans would do. But speaking of understanding, I understand with that music, it is time to go to break. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Show right after these messages. You stick right there and we'll be right back. Don't you touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Ow! Hi everyone, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying a Thursday night episode of the Pet Psychic with Jerry Hicks and the Darkwolf's Den Show? I know I am. If you are, make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday nights, the most extensive weekends in radio. Of course, Jerry Hicks and the Darkwolf's Den Show is here every Wednesday and Thursday nights. He'll return again next weekend to kick it off right with you. I'll be back again tomorrow night, Friday, April 9th, with a look at cryptocurrency. Dive through the rabbit hole of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, blockchain. We're going to find out exactly what the hype is all about. Starts at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. All shows start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Then Saturday night, April 10th, come along and explore with me the fascinating rabbit hole of miniatures with special guest Mary Frank Cogbill. It's going to be a fun look at miniatures and an evening of fantastic discussion and really cool visuals, I'll tell you that. Then we'll end out the weekend right together, Sunday, April 11th, with a look at cults. What exactly attracts people to cults, but more important, what is the magic way of escaping a cult? We're going to look at some people that have done just that. We're going to find out the mentality and the influence that helped get them out of the cults, as well as just exactly what drew them in. Charismatic cult leaders as we end out the weekend right. Sunday, April 11th, right here on the very best of Common Sense Radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. If you haven't done so already, please hop on over to our website. That's RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. There you can sign up for an exclusive backstage pass. It's going to unlock a bunch of really great features like Down the Rabbit Hole, our exclusive private social network. Again, Down the Rabbit Hole, it's absolutely free to sign up for, and it's going to give you access to the 24/7 backstage VIP lounge where the conversation continues after the show. Down the Rabbit Hole. There's a lot of really cool groups there, including the Darkwolf's Den Show, so make sure that you subscribe to that. And if you've missed any of our broadcasts, of course, everything is searchable there through our archive of on-demand files. If you sign up for that backstage pass, we're going to send you out our weekend schedule every Wednesday morning. A look at the Darkwolf dens and rabbit holes ahead. Now back to Jerry Hicks and the Darkwolf's Den with the Pet Psychic for Thursday, April 8th, 2021.
This is My Life DIY, and
hi, this is JoJo.
Hi, my name is Oz.
Hey everybody, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit.
This is Cynthia Sue Larson.
This is your man Meta, aka Propagate This Light.
And you're now listening
to Darkwolf's Den.
The Darkwolf's Den Show on Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And welcome back to the second half of the Darkwolf's Den Show for Thursday, April 8th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. If you're just tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we've been discussing pet psychics. That's right. In the first half, we discussed the physics and the science behind the possibility of animals speaking with humans and humans speaking with animals telepathically and in a psychic manner, and how animals think and speak in feelings, thoughts, emotions, and pictures, if you will. And now we're going to discuss in the second half how you can talk to your animal. That's right. All of us may have the ability to be pet psychics. And I told you in the first half, by the end of the show, you may have the ability to talk to your animal. Well, you may just do that very thing. See, we're going to go over now 7 tips to help you speak or communicate with your animal psychically. You guys ready for this?
In my book, there are 7 simple steps to communicating with your animal. Step number 1, begin with a calm and tranquil mind and seek out a calm and tranquil atmosphere for you and your animal.
So, step 1, clear your mind, have a calm and tranquil mind, and find a calm and tranquil place to practice this. A nice, quiet setting, if you will.
Step number 2, say your animal's name telepathically in your mind to get its attention.
And this is something I think we could all practice at any time and see if it actually gets stronger, right? How about an experiment? AJ loves his on-air experiments. How about this? How about you guys for the next week, if you have pets, try to speak to your pet telepathically, just in a calm, tranquil area. Just think the dog's name and see if he reacts. Whether he's sleeping on the floor or just running around the house or just happens to be sitting somewhere near. Just think the dog's name and see if he looks at you.
Step number 3, visualize your animal as you say its name.
Okay, so there's one more step here that I was unaware of. So while you are thinking the dog's name telepathically, or cat, or whatever the animal may be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a dog or a cat. I'm just using dog for this present example. But it doesn't have to necessarily be a dog, but your pet. Not only do you need to think their name telepathically, you need to also picture them in your mind while thinking their name telepathically.
Step number 4, send a picture of its physical body. Direct this to it along with its name.
So here is where intent comes into play. Once you have the name and the picture of the animal in your mind, intently send this information to said animal. So consciously try to focus your thought, if you will, towards that animal, whether it be a cat, dog, parrot, whatever the case may be. Once you have this image in your mind, consciously, intently focus it toward your animal.
Step number 5. Ask if there is anything your pet would like you to do for it. Imagine your animal is sending an answer back to you, and accept whatever you receive in your imagination or with your feelings and emotions.
And that's a big key right there. Accept the information coming in. Don't try to interpret it or try to make sense of it or assume that it's wrong. Just accept the information as it comes, if any information comes in, and go with it from there and see what happens.
Step number 6. Always acknowledge the answer, whatever you receive back from your animal.
Once again, don't interpret anything, just accept the answer, whatever it may be.
Step number 7. Continue to ask it other questions and remember to trust your imagination for what you are receiving back from your animal.
So all 7 of these steps seem very, very simple. So I challenge each and every one of you, if you are a pet owner, to attempt these experiments all week and see if you have any outcomes. And heck, it might be something that you pick up on a permanent basis and can start having regular telepathic conversations with your pets.
As you can see, Ellie is in a wonderful state to receive telepathic communication. And the more relaxed your animal is, the better they receive your language. Even if they're sleeping, they still receive telepathic language on that level of communication.
So the more calm the mind, the more easy it is to communicate with the animal. And I mentioned a minute ago sleeping. I didn't think sleeping would actually work, but apparently that's the better of the calm states of mind for the animal to receive telepathic communication. Now that's interesting. I just learned something.
Now use your imagination while we're doing this exercise, because that is how you speak to your animals. Say your dog's name, and then feel that you're in the park with your dog. Feel you're walking along with your dog and have that wonderful feeling going between you. The feeling of love, the animal being responsive to your feelings and emotions. Because how the animals speak is through their feelings and emotions. So we really have to heighten your awareness of your feelings and your emotions and your senses.
And of course, those of us with a heightened empathy, of course, have no issue with this, or have less issue. I wouldn't say have no issue. Have less issue with the ability to sense and understand the emotions being given off into the environment from whatever creature, whether it be a human, dog, cat, bear, whatever the creature may be.
And this is a wonderful exercise to do that, because already when you're aware of your feelings, emotions, and senses, you're starting to begin to speak the animal's language.
Okay, dog owners, there you go. So sit and meditate on the thought of taking the dog to the park and the feelings, the emotions, the senses, the everything about the experience, and see if the animal reacts and is ready to go to the park pretty much. But that only works right for dogs. What about cats? Is there any exercises that cat lovers could do?
As a walk in the park on a leash will not appeal to your cat, we're going to try another exercise specially for him. I want you to visualize that you are opening a tin of tuna or his favorite cat food. And then I want you to imagine smelling it and tasting it. Then feel that you're tossing it out towards your cat companion like you toss a ball to him. And then wait and see if you get a reaction.
Remember, using your imagination to really feel and try to imagine these things as real as you can is a big key. And it may not always work the first time or even the second time. And this goes right back to the idea of manifestation and using your thoughts, energies, and emotions to manipulate the outside world into something that you want. It's the same thing here, the same concept anyway, using your thoughts, emotions, imagination, and energy to try to communicate with the animal.
Don't be disappointed if you don't. Do the exercise a number of times, but don't do it too often at the same time, because he's going to get very bored with it.
So first, do this exercise randomly, but second, and most importantly, do it repeatedly. You can't do something one time, be bad at it, and say, oh, I'm never doing it again. Otherwise, for instance, you would have never learned how to ride a bike. You've got to do these things over and over and over. It's a psi muscle, if you will. It's the same thing as any other skill or ability. If you don't use it, you will lose it.
The next step is ask your animal if there is anything that you can do for him, and see if you receive anything back. When I say receiving anything back, I mean pay attention to your feelings and your emotions. Pay attention to the image you may receive in your mind.
And remember, dogs don't think like humans, so it may not be an image that quite makes a lot of sense to you, or it may even be something you recognize but not understand. Just go with it and see what happens. For instance, if you get an image of the outside, perhaps your animal wants outside, or if you get an image of a bowl of food, perhaps your animal is telling you that it's hungry, or perhaps you'll get nothing at all, right?
If you don't receive anything, just acknowledge that you have received something and just thank him. And then ask the question again and see again if you have a feeling or a picture or a sense of something. And it's very, very subtle. And trust your imagination. Really trust. Don't dismiss anything that you receive, whether it be a slight feeling of sadness or happiness or anxiety, or whether you think that you've imagined a picture. Because if you have, that's already your animal starting to communicate back to you.
So 2 major takeaways from that. Number 1, practice makes perfect. Do it over and over and over. These are exercises. You have to exercise this over and over. It may not work the first couple times, or it may work brilliantly. Second, don't doubt yourself or the answer that you get. It may be weird to you. You may consider that it's just all in your head or imagination, but if you think that's the case, test it. Find out. Do something to alter whatever that may be. So if it's the feeling of sadness, do something you know will make your pet happy and see if that changes. If it's the idea of food, go and get some food and see if your pet suddenly is hungry and you didn't know it. Just all these different ideas and ways to check and test if you really are receiving information from your pet.
When you first start to communicate with your animal, you have to understand that you're opening channels that you possibly haven't ever opened before, because you're now using another part of your brain and the artistic side of your brain, and you're also starting to tune in to other vibrational frequencies. So be patient with yourself. And it may take a little time, but if you continue on with it, I know you will have success.
And I'd like to go back and reference once again the example I used in the first half about the brainwave entrainment of roommates or even different women living in the same house. It doesn't happen the moment all women are in the same house. Like, you don't visit a woman won't go visit another woman's house and all of a sudden things are different. Or roommates won't spend just one night together and all of a sudden they're entrained on the same wavelength and think the same way. No, it doesn't work like that. It's going to take a little bit of time for things to happen, for things to get entrained, for your animal and you to communicate, especially if it's something you've never done before. You're not going to quite understand the communication channels. The channels are not going to be strong. They're going to be weak. The bond, even though it's there, is not going to have the strengthening that it would need in order to, for instance, communicate together on a regular basis. But if you try, if you start doing these things today, if you constantly try to practice these exercises, I think personally that it would be easier and easier every time for you to communicate with your animals.
If you practice these 7 steps on a regular basis, you'll very soon be speaking your animal's language.
And ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sonia Fitzpatrick, a pet psychic that actually has her own TV show where she goes to different places and talks to a variety of animals, whether it be rabbits, dogs, horses, cats, you name it, she's probably talked to that animal. She is what I consider a expert in this field, and we could all become experts in this field, right? If we're pet owners and pet lovers especially, I guess that would help, right? But if we're around animals a lot, we could all find a way to become pet lovers and pet communicators, whisperers, if you will, to the animal world. Perhaps we're all going to gain the ability to telepathically speak to animals on a regular basis, and perhaps eventually science will catch up and realize that this is a regular thing and not exactly woo-woo at all. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's possible to speak to animals? Do you think that you could communicate with your pet? Are you going to try the exercises this weekend going forward and try to see if you can increase communication with your pet? I know somebody in the lounge last night I was speaking with that told me that they could communicate with their pet all the time, just like we've been hearing about tonight. And apparently they have a really good communication going back and forth between them, and it works really well. And perhaps it could work for you. In the end, ladies and gentlemen, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and then you be the judge. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the Darkwolf's Den Show for Thursday, April 8th, 2021. So whether you're on the edge of reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the den may be closing, but don't you worry, the weekend fun is only just begun. That's right. The Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show will return on Friday, April 9th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, with host AJ the Rippin' Rabbit. That's right. This Friday, he's going to be digging down into the topic of cryptocurrency. What an interesting rabbit hole this is. I've recently made some cryptocurrency investments myself, and I'm quite amazed at how the market has been moving. It's something that is incredibly intriguing and something you definitely do not want to miss. Tomorrow, Friday, April 9th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio and the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show. That's right. Then on Saturday, our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit will be back again with one more episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. He's going to welcome a special guest, and they're going to be discussing the world of miniatures. That's right. These are something that even I find quite intriguing. The amount of time and patience and art that goes into these things is absolutely amazing. And there's a small community, I dare say a big community, that has grown up around this art. A community that you do not want to miss hearing about on Saturday, April 10th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio. Then on Sunday, April 11th, 2021, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit will be back one more time to round out the weekend right with the final episode of the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show for this week. He'll be discussing cults this time around. Cult leaders, cults of all types. Are you a cult member? Are you a cult leader? Have you escaped from a cult, or are you still a part of one? No matter what your placement, definitely check out AJ's episode on Sunday about cults. April 10th, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, right here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio and the RippinRabbitHole.com. Speaking of the RippinRabbitHole.com, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hop on over there and sign up for your backstage pass. That's right. This is going to give you access to all the magic of the RippinRabbitHole.com. And there's a lot of magic to be found over there, guys. I'm talking about something like Down the Rabbit Hole, our social media alternative, and your ability to share with all the rabbits any information you would like without it being told that it's false information or fake according to the big guys, even though I use their fake system now to determine truth, right? But you won't find that issue over at the RippinRabbitHole.com when you jump down the rabbit hole. That's right. Then also, while you're over there, make sure you check out the 24/7 Backstage Lounge. That's right, that's where I'm going to be right after the show. I'm going to be hanging back there with the rest of the rabbits, and I hope you guys come on and join me. There was a special room that opened last night. CSN champion, CSFL champion, CSN, whatever he goes by nowadays, gave a special show or special guide on how to win the Fantastic Fun shows, ladies and gentlemen. I know there were a couple guys over there, and this next month's Fantastic Fun show is going to be absolutely amazing. Congratulations to Champion Sports Nation, the current reigning champion of the Fantastic Fun show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of fun here on the RippinRabbitHole.com and Rippin' Common Sense Radio, and it's an honor to have every last one of you guys here with us worldwide in 49 countries. We are so proud to have every one of you from our flagship station in Ripon, Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Walt House, AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Michael Musco, Chick Mandela Effect, our amazing mod team over there, and everybody involved in Rippin' Common Sense Radio. My name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay awake, but dare to dream. Good night, everybody. Yeah! The weekend's kicked off, baby. That's right. Bye, everybody.
I'm lost and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever home. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner, is it in her? What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays. What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her? Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion?